For the first time in forever, yes, you are now hearing me and seeing me without crappy stuff on my phone. That's amazing, isn't it? Yep. So, you'll be seeing a lot better content from me in the future, at least in terms of visual quality and audio quality. Everything else is to be determined because I'm a lazy bastard. But we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. But yes, so today we're going to be going through a Kotaku article because some people are fucking stupid to the point where it makes me want to just bring out a history textbook and shove someone's face right into it. Yes, people are doing stuff. That's stupid. It's so dumb. But yes, Kotaku had this little thing from Twitter yesterday. This is so dumb. Hey, history games! The Nazis were the bad guys! You read that, and automatically you realize there's a problem. Because what World War II game unironically makes the Nazis the good guys? I have never seen one. There may have been, because some people are edgy like that, but I mean, what mainstream game actually unironically does that? From Medal of Honor to Call of Duty to all the other World War II shooters that we've had, freaking Sniper Elite, like, what game has made the Nazis unironically the good guys? I want to see your argument for saying that they weren't. And of course, the Nazis were bad guys. Doesn't mean all the Nazis were bad in and of itself. There's some good Nazis in there. You know, people who defected, gave the U.S. their military secrets and all that type of shit, who helped us in the war. You know, just because you were in the Nazi party doesn't mean you were necessarily a bad person. Look at Albert Speer, for example. All right, dude didn't want to blow up Berlin. He still ended up serving in jail because, yes, he was a member of the Nazi party, but you know, he helped out his own citizens, and he kept Berlin from getting destroyed completely. And what about fucking Schindler? Freaking Schindler's List? Are we gonna ignore the contribution Schindler's List made? You know, saving a bunch of Jewish prisoners from the Holocaust. All right, just because you were a Nazi doesn't necessarily mean you were a bad person. Okay, this goes the same for every freaking military. Just because you're in the United States military doesn't make you a good guy. Like, and this is an editorial too, so that just makes it even more stupid. Okay, I'm playing Slytherin's Panzer Corps 2 at the moment, and I'm loving almost every minute of it. It's one of the best turn-based strategy games in years, but there's something a bit off about it. Something that's troubling about a lot of historical strategy games. It has a little too much fun playing the Germans. Oh my god. Unless the real-time strategy game has a fucking story where you're going through beginning, middle, and end, going through a bunch of different events, uh, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's not portraying stuff in a serious light. It's a real-time fucking strategy game. The only real-time strategy game I actually seen actually play things completely straight in terms of AAA titles is fucking Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2. And you want RTS games that are like, you have Armor Games is military strategy games that they made. Warfare 1917 and 1944, and even then, those were pretty short games. But yeah, it has a little too much fun playing the Germans. Why? Is it fun to experience different types of weapons that the Germans made? Like, so what? Panzer Corps 2, from its jovial mission briefings to its semi-fictional version of history, takes an almost gleeful approach to Germany's participation in the war. Because you're playing on Germany's side, you idiot. Are you stupid? Okay, that actually maintains immersion, actually. If you're playing on the German side, and they were all dreary, depressed and stuff, you'd be kind of like, wait, what? That's not how the Nazis operated. The sweeping advances of its early campaigns, the scale and variety of operations it drops you into, the way Poland's tragic occupation is forever a mere tutorial for World War II strategy games. Nazi Germany's attempted conquest of an entire continent is viewed in this game as a mere gameplay and level design opportunity. So what? So what? What is the problem? What is the problem? I'm not seeing a single problem with this. What is the issue? Please, I want to know the issue. Am I going to get an actual design problem here? Like, is there a problem with this design? Seriously. All you're saying is this is the stuff that's used for the gameplay. And the stuff you're telling me is actually more of an immersive thing. Because, yes, if you're going to play in the German campaign, guess what? You're going to be going to Poland. That's what happened. That's what how fucking World War II started. I'm sorry if that offends you. That offends your delicate sensibilities. But this is not a fucking issue. Okay? Seriously. And here's my thing. I don't think World War II games show enough of the German perspective. And I'm not saying that you have to portray them as the good guys, because they aren't. Don't portray them as the good guys, but do something morally gray with them. Like the thing in Battlefield 5, yes, that was a short-ass mission, but, I actually liked that little thing with the Nazi dudes in the tank, because, they didn't really care. One of them outright tries to desert. The only one who actually tries to do anything that's Nazi-like is the new guy they brought in that's been brainwashed all to hell. Like, there's some stuff you can do by having a German perspective in a World War II game. I'd love to see one. I really would. Tell more stories about Germans who didn't want to be in that situation, but they were thrust into it because that's what the German government wanted them to do. Like, it's just stupid. Each of these victories is seen as a conquest of land. No shit, because Hitler wanted to conquer all fucking Europe, you idiots. A map painted black, a mission carried out successfully. The further and further you drift from the actual world history, as this game will do the further you get into it, the more excited the mission briefings and strategic aims get. Gee whiz, Herr General, those Brits sure put up a fight. Now let's get the Russians and the Americans. Which is fine if we were playing some fictional faction in Westwood's Dune 2, Dawn of War, or even the pulpy Red Alert. But at its heart, this isn't some abstract and artificial war. We are still living in the shadow of this conflict 75 years later. From international power struggles to the emergence of terror groups espousing and committed atrocities in the name of Nazi views. But they're not the ones mainly committing terrorism. I hope you know that. Yeah, so what? Are we talking about the alt-right too? Are we talking? Is this the alt-right that he's talking about? Please don't let it be. This would make your article even more of a clowning article than it already is. I shouldn't need to, so I won't get into why the Nazis were so bad. We all know why the Nazis were fucking bad. Killed millions of people, invaded lands unjustly, started an international conflict that lasted 5 years, well, 6 years, 7 years, bleh. All that shit, committed genocide on an entire association of people just because they worship this religion. Like, dude, we all know why the fucking Nazis are bad. It's self-explanatory. We learn it from the earliest days when we learn about World War II. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to figure it out. But suffice to say, the least we should be expecting from developers allowing us to play as them is a little introspection. Games do that all the time. Hell, there's games criticizing American perspectives in certain wars, like Vietnam. You think we don't go into why the Nazis were bad at all in any of these games? If you do, you're a fucking idiot. Seriously, if you seriously think we don't actually talk about why the Nazis were bad in gaming, and honestly, these guys could just be wanting to make a fun game. They don't care about portraying history in an accurate way. They just want to make a fun game. I'm fine with that. If you're making stuff like freaking ridiculous and stuff, I'm fine with that. Granted, I've never played this game that this dude's talking about. But it's a game about panzers. You're playing as a panzer. Means you're in the German army. Means you're doing stuff for Germany, primarily. Like, come on, dude, Jesus. These are some of history's greatest villains, and yet here we are, time and time again, leading them through foreign lands and east-sapping with our fellow officers as we lay waste to cities and enslave millions, damning them to a conveniently unseen life of brutality and displacement. Dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Jesus. I don't want to pick on Panzer Corps 2 specifically here because it's something countless strategy games, simulations, and tabletop board games have done for decades. Look, those are tabletop, you said yourself, tabletop real-time strategy, simulations. Look, here's my thing. I would prefer it if, on a base level, you make everything as historically accurate as you possibly can. But there are genres where you just can't do that. Real-time strategy, I think, is one of those where you really can't do it most of the time. Because, I mean, the amount of resources you have to put into the game to make the game how it is with the world that you have in a real-time strategy game, that's a lot of fucking resources. And you got to map out everything for the player to use. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making an RTS. And in tabletop games, like, it's a tabletop game. It's not supposed to have a story. Like, seriously, this is stupid. It's trying to immerse you in the experience of being a German tank crew, assuming that's what all you're doing is, because you're playing in the Panzer Corps. You know, you would be shown stuff that the Nazis used, and you would be shown stuff that Nazis used for propaganda. They would all be trying to go, hey, this is awesome. We're doing all this crazy stuff. Woo, woo, woo. Like, in Warfare 1917 and 1944, you can play as the other side. It's not mutually exclusive. You can be whoever you want to be in that conflict. Like, it's not that. It's not this. I don't know why he's making this seem like it's so bad. It's so horrible. Like, seriously, it just seems like a dude who just doesn't understand anything about history. And that's the sad thing, really. From box art to promo images to campaign design, you don't have to look far in historical circles to see that German weapons, vehicles, and infantry are very often the stars of the show because you're playing as the Germans! You're playing as the Germans, you fucking idiot. Jesus. Man, come on. Like, what are you thinking? You can use MP40s in fucking, the first two Uncharted games. Well, at least I think you can use it in the second one, but like, you can use MP40s in Uncharted 1 because the Nazis are in that game. Technically, they're all dead, but their weapons are still there. You can still use them. So what? I think it would be rather cool to wield an MP40 and shoot a bunch of zombies or kill a bunch of terrorists. Seems pretty fucking badass to me. There's a fascination with the German armed forces in 1939 to 1945 that has its claws deep in communities like this, not necessarily, or at least primarily, for their political views, but also for more superficial reasons. You're saying that wrong. You say that has its claws deep in a community like this, not for political views, but for the superficial reasons. Because everything looks so cool. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sorry. If things look cool, it doesn't matter if it was used to kill people. It still looks pretty cool. Like the Thompson was used to kill innocent people because gangsters were using it to kill people. Right? Remember the St. Valentine's Day massacre? Thompson was one of the primary culprits in that as a weapon. Right? The Thompson actually led to one of the first ever gun control restrictions in the United States. Like, come on, dude. Alright, guess what? The Thompson went and used in war. People used it. People used it heroically. Okay? Like, come on, dude. Like, it shouldn't matter. Okay, a weapon is a weapon. Doesn't matter who uses it. It's a weapon on its own. Yeah, so if it's going to be used to commit atrocities. Almost every weapon has been used to commit one. Doesn't matter who's made them. Like, the bow and arrow has probably seen more atrocities than anything ever. Are we going to go, let's get rid of the bow and arrow because it's been used to kill people a bunch of different places before? No. So why are we going to ban the MP40 or the Panzer or the Tiger? I mean, not like people make those anyway. They can't make them anymore. At least the Panzer and the Tiger. You can still make replica MP40s. Let's be real. Let's be real. The Nazis had cool uniforms, cool tanks, cool weapons, cool aircraft, zany secret weapons. If you're playing a game where you need to assume the role of a faction and one of those guys with the slick gray uniforms, badass tanks, a lot of folks will choose the Germans. Yes, because a lot of people like playing as the bad guys. Doesn't matter who they are. I'm sorry. I mean, granted, most people will play as the good guys by default. Like with Mass Effect 3, Like, one of the things that people were really mad about was one of the guys at BioWare was bitching about how they put so much effort into all the Renegade options, but yet vast majority of people went with Paragon. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't mean that people aren't going to the Renegade side, because a lot of people will still do that just to be contrarian or just because they want a different experience. Like, it's crazy how people just, yeah. Then there's the matter, as Rob Zachney, who the fuck this dude is, put it so well in his Vice article last year. The situation: the Germans all had cool gear and all those early victories, yet the Germans ultimately lost the war to a bunch of nations with enormously superior amounts of resources, equipment, and manpower. We know this. So what? I don't care. If people want to be fucking badass for the bad guys, they'll be badass with the bad guys. Doesn't matter if it's the fucking Huns. Doesn't matter if it's the Nazis. Doesn't matter if it's the Ottoman Empire. It doesn't matter if it's the Soviet Union. It doesn't matter if it's the Viet Cong. It doesn't matter if it's a whole host of fucking things throughout history. People love playing as villains. Right? At least in America, because America has a really big fascination with villain archetypes. But in general, like, people love talking about villain stuff. Like, you will have countless books about why Hitler was such a horrible person. And you have a lot of stuff just talking about all of these evil people throughout history, what made them the way they were, from serial killers to rapists to so many different things. There's a lot of reasons why a person is evil, why an ideology is evil. Like, there's so much you have to go into. There's so many nuances you have to go through. Like, come on, people. This creates a scenario, one that games like Panzer Corps 2 are more than happy to exploit, where the player can imagine that it was German leadership that lost the war, not the fact that it picked a fight with an almost entirely industrialized world, and that you, with your galactic brain and 80 years of hindsight, can do a better job. I don't know if you know this, but if the Germans were just a little bit lucky, they would have taken Russia. Like, do you not realize they were that close to Moscow? Like, they were literally in the city streets of Moscow. They pushed that far in. Or at least I'm pretty sure they got to Moscow. If even not, they got to St. Petersburg, they got to Stalingrad, they got to Leningrad. They got pretty far deep into fucking Russia. You do realize that if they took Russia, they would have won the damn war. Or at least they could have put up a damn good fight. That could have gone on either for a long time or they would have been a ceasefire. That's one of the things on hindsight that I feel that we should be using, because if the Soviet Union didn't fight like they did, or at least they didn't get, if they were as lucky as they were, it was Hitler's incompetence that led to the ultimate failure of the war. Okay, like, you do realize that London was getting bombed the fuck out of on a daily basis at one point in the war, right? And the U.S. wasn't doing anything until 1941 in December after they got bombed by Japan. Like, you do realize if America never entered the war, you guys would have been, the Europeans would have been screwed. Like, there's a lot of stuff you're kind of using there to be misleading. It's not that, oh, they picked a fight with everybody else and that's why they lost. No. There was a point in time where Germany was just very well could have won the fucking war. The only reason they didn't was because they fucked up in their planning stages. They fucking killed Rommel, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ, man. That better job being the acquisition of more land that a German flag would fly over, a global victory for forces of totalitarianism and genocide, the death squads, concentration camps, gas chambers, mass displacement. Everything that would come along under that flag is rarely, if ever, mentioned in historical war games and strategy titles, lest it undermine your heroic achievements. Dude, you're really about to make me lose my shit. People want to play as villains. If they don't want to think about it, they don't have to think about it. I'm sorry. There's this thing called suspension of disbelief. And not only that, you can really just greatly just look at World War II in your own subjective view, be like, oh, I don't care. You can just look at it and say, I don't care. Or how about this? In this alternate view of history, we're not doing that shit. We're just playing as Germany because we're playing as Germany. We don't give a fuck. Right? Because people, when they play stuff like that, they want to play because they want to play, be fun. They want to do something fun. That's what people play games for. They don't want to play games to get beaten over the head with morals most of the time. And if they do, it has to be in a very specific context. Specific. Like in World War II. But then again, you could just have a game where just having fun. Alright, seriously, they have a freaking tank game, a tank anime game, or just a tank anime in general, where you have like Panzers and Tigers and Shermans, all that type of stuff, and anime girls are driving them. Or in some cases, they are the tank. Like, who cares? Okay? We all want to learn about history. That's what we can do. It's not that hard to learn. But don't beat us over the head over this like this is some revolution that you're coming up with. Like, seriously, this is so stupid. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna stop it here. This article's pissing me off. There's still like half of it left that I didn't read, but I'm just getting really irritated, man. This is pissing me off. So yeah, this dude doesn't understand why games are the way they are, and doesn't understand why people love to play as villains, no matter how horrible they were. Like, there are so many things that this dude is just outright leaving out and is trying to use to mislead you. To go, oh my goodness, they're not beating you over the head with the fact that the Nazis were evil for the 10,000 millionth time like they do in every other medium. This is such a horrible thing. And sometimes they actually use it because they actually like Nazis. No. You do realize if you tried to make a game where the Nazis were unironically the good guys, they would not be making that game anymore. Whoever was giving them money would rescind the money. And even if they did, it would be an indie game, self-funded, and it would be a fucking meme. Like, come on, dude. But yeah, this Kotaku dude really doesn't understand what the fuck he's talking about. And it's really irritating. It's like, yes, we all know, for a fact, Nazis were bad. We all know this. It's not hard to figure it out. It really isn't. Okay? Like, if you're assuming that people are playing these games just because they have no knowledge of history, you're massively underestimating the entirety of the human race there. But not only that, dude, come on. It's a game. Let people have fun. Alright, they don't want to have to think about the horrible atrocities that Nazis committed if they played as the Nazis. People just want to play. Alright, they may have gotten through the Allied campaigns in these certain games, and they were like, okay, now I want to play as the Germans. I want to see how that goes if I win. Alright, it could just be a thing where you just want to beat it all. Come on, dude. Like, this is one of the reasons why Kotaku's in the shit. Because they keep doing this ideological crap. And it's annoying as fuck. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. See this brisk gameplay footage on from my computer here. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't die, and I'll see you later. Maybe you'll see more high-quality vids from me in the future.